Good day and welcome back to another week of Talking Technical. And I had an interesting email this week, and somebody said to me, Frans, can you do me a favor? I'm a novice investor, and I see that you're always talking about candlesticks. Now, I have no clue about candlesticks, he says, but can you maybe just this week spend time on a normal line chart? Now, just to explain the difference, let's quickly do that. I just want to show to the viewer. Sorry, that's not that one. Let's just do that proper one. Sorry. Which one did I click now? I think I clicked the wrong one. There you are. Okay. There's candles. Now, candles is nothing else than emotional movements in the share price. That usually tells you that the guys are either optimistic or they pessimistic or they sell at tops and they take profit at lows. Sorry, or they buy in at lows. But if you look at the chart here, excuse me, it's quite simple that candles are usually emotional, you can almost say movements in the share price. But let's, for this viewer, go back to a normal line chart. Now, the first chart that we're going to look at this week is Tiger Brands. Now, Tiger Brands, I mean, what a rally since October 23, from 142 to 201 Rand. Now, I want to say to the viewer, remember, line charts, if this is a daily chart, but let's go to a weekly chart. It's better to explain like that. If you go to a weekly chart, every little point here on this chart is reflecting a close of a week. So this chart works from Friday to Friday. So let's take that. There's a Friday close. It will give you a price of 221.72. The next week, maybe a little bit lower, 219.15. The next week, a little bit lower, 204.14. And then it goes back to 210, all the way back to 208. And that's how most of the novices or people that's interested in chart techniques is starting to know and learn about the market. Now, in the candle of the day, and Christelle as well, in the candle of the day or the speculation charts, sometimes we use candlesticks, sometimes we use line charts. And why? It's just to guide us. Maybe sometimes it show a better formation on the line chart, but I'm so used to use candles. I, let's say, work 99% on candlesticks because I like emotion. Why? I studied in that field many years ago, so I love emotion in the markets. I love the volatility, but for somebody that's not keen on that, not keen on emotion, wants a spot where it says that's where the chart closed that week, and that's where the bottom line is, and I make my decisions on that. Let's have a look, just to explain here. There is, a while back, a beautiful resistance line there. All right. I just used the tops of this chart to show you, to get the line. And what do we see here? We also see a support line. Now, this gave us a classic, what we call a falling wedge. And where did it trigger? It triggered just at the start of that week, or the close, at 159.42. This is an interesting point. Some people say that you wait for the week to close before you buy, and some people say the moment it crosses that line, you buy. Remember, that is a personal choice. You either wait for the candle to close, or some people just buy, or the line to close, so that you can get a direction. What is my idea always about it? When somebody asks me about it, I say, if you are a day trader, or a trader that's got maybe a 3 or 4 day view, then look at the chart at around 4 o'clock of the day. If it wants to close above that line, you can maybe make a decision because you haven't got this longer term view. But in this case, we used a weekly chart, so you'll probably wait maybe to Thursday, Friday to see, whoopsie, it is above this. I'm going to buy, just to help my stop loss to be a little bit narrower. But that's a personal decision. It depends what you like and what you want to do. Even with stop losses, it's a personal opinion. Well, let's have a look at it. I mean, it played out to the T. it gave this projection. I showed this projection last week. How do I get it? So I'm not going to show it again. This rallied all the way to a lamp formation. The chart still looks wonderful. Where will the chart show you some weakness? And remember, this is just a normal line chart, and that is below 197.63. The chart will start to worry, and you will probably see a lower high developing. That is a warning signal. Just something on psychological levels. The chart is showing 201.36. If the chart starts to struggle at 200 Rand, that will be your first warning signal to say, listen, just be a little bit careful, because that other line is at 197, and if it breaks below that, it will be a confirmation. So always watch around the psychological levels if you don't get an early clue that something is starting to develop. But this is a line chart, and there was a classic falling wedge. You'll probably see it on the candles as well. Let's just have a look. If we do see it, there you are. The candles will just make it a little bit bigger. There you are. Because what do? I use the top of that candle. There it is. All the way. There it is. There's the top as that as well. My buying signal was there at 161. It rallied to the top. And where will this chart worry me is only below, not 197, but only below 189. Why? Because suddenly there you've got the clue that this chart still printed a beautiful bullish candle, and these guys will only get nervous if that line there below 189.22 go into a resistance. So for me, still strong here, but look at it. It gives you the same principles, the same ideas. It's maybe just a level that's going to change a little bit. And the reason why I say that is because it depends on personal opinion. And let's have a look at it. Even this candle, you guys know by now, I like to use the tops of these candles to draw in my lines. And some people will say, you draw it in the real bodies. I can remember Dr. Clive Roffey. He liked to draw it into the real bodies, and he was happy doing that. And what I'm always keen on, use the shadows, because I believe that somebody did buy and sell here. I want to show, and that, what is that? That's just a descending channel, but the same principle applies. If it breaks above that, it can go to the top. Let's have a look at the next chart, and that is Mr. Price. I mean, Mr. Price came out the other day and said, listen, boys, we are quite happy with our sales, and the chart just rallied away. Let's have a look here. What do we see? First of all, let's just change that 40-week moving average. Yes, it is a 40-week. Remember, this is a weekly chart, and it was in the doldrums for quite a while, since April 2022 to, you can always say, no, November 23. It was all the way below that. Look, there was 1 week of a blip, and then it just fell apart. And what do we see here? This is good. It started to change this 40-week moving average into support. First of all, sorry, that is positive. But now I want to know, where must I buy? And the viewer asked me, he said, Frans, I want to buy Mr. Price for the short term. First of all, wrong chart. It must be a daily if you want to buy it for the short term. But if you want to buy it for the long term, you look at the following. There you are. There's the resistance line. There you are at 158.24. There's the 40-week moving average, beautiful support. And for me, I'll wait for this chart to pull back to 158.56 before I buy, because I've seen over years that I'm not a good momentum chaser. Some people love to chase momentum, and some people do wonderfully well with it. I don't. I like to look at double bottoms. But if you want to wait for 159, buy it there. Your stop loss will be 148.32. And by the way, if it breaks above 172.73, it can go all the way back. Remember, weekly charts here, 185.50 and maybe up to 196. And then, of course, then 200 Rand is not that far away. Let's have a look at Capitec. I mean, this is one of those beautiful companies, one of the top 4 banks. Nothing can go wrong here. And what makes me nervous, and I'm going to use this weekly chart again, remember this share or this company is printing money. They're doing wonderfully well. Why? Because they're in a market where they actually win clients almost week by week, and they're taking clients away because of good service, good systems, and their costs are cheap. So, almost nothing to find wrong with this company. But what I don't like about it is I don't like this waterfall formation. Then it made some beautiful moves to the upside. But what makes me more worried is that this rising wedge, remember, rising wedge is a warning formation. This rising wedge, first of all, give me a warning signal below 2065. And what will happen here? Below this, and remember this is a weekly chart, so we'll wait for the weekly close, and that is below 196,341, 1,963 Rand and 41 cents. We will see a lower low, all right? First, sorry, lower high, and there you are. There you will see another one, lower low here, and then I just want to draw in that line. Where is that level? That level is sitting at 192. And where can it play it out? If you project it, we'll probably take it down to 1877. Remember, this company is doing well. The bank is doing well. And look at this tendency. It rallies beautifully. Then it pulls back a little bit. Then it shots up. Then it struggles. But while it's above the 40-week moving average, I can always remember there was a book of Stein Weinstein, How to Make Profits in Bull and Bear Markets. And what did he say? When the chart is below the 40-week moving average, I just ignore it or I go short. And if it's above the 40-week moving average, I just remain long. Now, sometimes if you're a day trader, you need for these extreme situations to happen and you take these tiny 3-4% pullbacks, you take your money, off you go, and you find something else. But remember, this is a weekly chart, maybe a little bit of a longer term view. Let's have a look at the share that actually the company went under, or they closed down. They struggled for a while. And look at this. This is Choppies. And I've got a friend that he says, Frans, but I've got still some shares. And I thought that the company will just disappear, but suddenly they're back. So yes, it's a food retailer in South Africa. And if you look at this chart, if I look at this massive consolidation, I think this chart still wants to find its feet. So for me, I'm a little bit nervous here. I will use this as my resistance. First sign of strength will be above that line. We'll give you the level now. And of course, if it can start to go above this line now, let's use a, there you are. Interesting. The first sign of strength on this resistance line that turned into support was at 67. But for me, after this massive sell-off, after this massive consolidation, I'll be happy if it can break above 74 cents. And that will give me the first sign of strength here. Let's just have a look at volume. I didn't look at that because this can be a very interesting chart. That's maybe why someone asked me about it. And boy, oh boy, there you are in June. There was a nice jump in volume. And where will this guy be happy? He's already happy because he bought around these levels of 58 and above 68. Maybe this chart is maybe worth looking at. Maybe put it on the sides if you do want to buy a little bit of above the 67 level. Make use of a stop loss of 59 to the extreme, a stop loss of 57, and maybe add up above 74. And look at your 40-week moving average. For a long time, it played around it. It gave the first blip up here. I must be honest, I think this chart has maybe a little bit of promise in. It's early days, but let's have a look. But the chart looks okay to me. Let's have a look at Life Healthcare. I mean, it's a hospital company. And then there you are. Let's have a look. Life Healthcare. What's now wrong? There you are. I just want to look at this. Okay, the company struggled a little bit. Fell off a cliff. 40-week moving average. Can you see that I use the same method every time? Looking at the pattern, looking at the moving average, see if the trend is down. If the trend is down, I'm a little bit nervous. if I want to buy, I look at the reversal formation. If I do get a reversal formation, I find a place where it gets confirmation that it wants to go up. I look at my stop loss, and that makes up my mind. Let's have a look here. First of all, I'm just going to use this line there. There you are. Fell off a cliff, waterfall formation, higher lows developing here. First sign of strength will be above 18.98. Let's make it 19 Rand. But what do I see? What I don't like at the moment, first warning signal after this little blip bounce that we had. There you are. If I draw in that little line there, we see a break of the support line. And for me, while it's below 18.52, quite simple, just leave the share alone. Only look at it above 19 Rand. Your stop loss will probably be the low of this line there, 18.36. And only above 19, I'll be happy. But above 40-week moving average, 19.56, I know that the trend has changed. Let's have a look at Netcare, because it was the same viewer. And he said, please, Frans, those two medical shares, if you don't mind. Wow, look at this chart. We warned earlier about this head and shoulder formation. It almost played down to the T. Why didn't it go down there? Let's maybe just stop there. A lot of people will say, wow, Frans, you thought 11.70 and it turned around at 12 Rand 40. Comes back to that old thing. Technical analysis is not an exact science. I repeat that often to people that say, listen, I want to do this and that and the other, and the chart must do this. There's never a must in the market. Well, let's look at Netcare. Nice moving line here to the top. Shows you that the trend is still up. There you are, but we're on the test of this line. A little bit nervous. It changed the 40-week in the moving average into a support. So for me, quite simple. It must move above this line, and that will be 14.60. Above 14.60, it will tick to the upside. Where's my stop loss? My stop loss will be the support of that line. By that, it will change a bit to 14.18, and then it can actually hit a little bit higher to this resistance, 1475, 1504, 1520, 1555, and even as high as 16 Rand and 11 cents. So the chart doesn't look nice, not bad to me, but we test this line. I'm a little bit nervous. If out of the two, I will say this chart looks better between Life Healthcare, because that one just want to break. This one at least is above the 40-week moving average. Let's quickly see if we can fit in the last discussion for this week, and that will be Discovery Limited, also a top company, definitely not a buy. It shows you here that it's testing this line. There you are. It's on the brink of breaking this line. The 40-week moving average has been tested. It turned out to be a resistance once again, and below 133.34, just leave the company alone. Let it work itself out. Look only above 40-week moving average. Let the company works and see what it can produce for us on the charts. But in the meantime, be careful. If it breaks this line, it can maybe go lower, 131.70. 130.40, and even as low as 127 Rand and 10 cents. Thank you so much for watching the show. Let's chat again, and all the best. Visit our website www.fransdeklerk.com for more info, and we will chat again.